everybody. It is the Black White Liberal. Thank you for tuning in today. Today's show is going to be pre recorded because we're just coming up to the holidays and things are going on. Even if, probably like many of you, you're not going to be doing a whole lot, but still, even the mental preparation of, we're not really going anywhere. We're going to miss friends and family. So I just wanted to check in really quickly and talk about our topic for today, which is half of the USA is batshit crazy. And, this comes because I put a picture here from a recent Trump rally. Not a Trump rally. This was the Million MAGA March, which was not a million people, but certainly I think thousands of people showed up, maybe even tens of thousands, but definitely thousands of people that came out. And these are people who are still holding on to the belief that Donald Trump won the election and he's being cheated. And I'm always amazed when I'm on Twitter and different things at people who really believe it. You're looking and people will come on and say, well, that's why they're not counting all the votes, or they found votes. So what's going on right now, if you don't know, Georgia recently certified for they recently certified and called the election for Joe Biden in Georgia. There was a lot of pushback from the Republicans who are running for Senate there because they're in a runoff, and they are calling for the Republican Secretary of State to resign. Lindsey Graham called him this week and asked him to see if there was a way to throw out votes. It was very crazy, but the Secretary of State actually came out and said that he felt like Lindsey was telling him to find a way to throw votes away that were for Joe Biden. And there's also someone who came out who confirmed, because Lindsey Graham was trying to say that's not what I'd said, but there was someone else who was on the call who is also a Republican who has come out and agreed that that was the case and that's what was said. So now we're also looking at possibly charges for Senator Graham. He is the head of the Judiciary Committee in Congress, and it's a very powerful committee. They believe had something have different things to do with how things are interpreted in the law. And so for him to do this is pretty flagrant, pretty egregious. It shows how far Trump and his minions and followers are willing to go for this lie. There are a panel of people who are supposed to certify the state election for Michigan, and they have agreed to meet with Donald Trump. I actually didn't get a chance to look at the news, honestly. Today is Saturday. They were supposed to meet with him yesterday. And just the fact that they would do that, because it's just such a mix of, the president basically reaching into state affairs and wants to meet with them personally. And these are the people who are going to determine if he gets the delegates or if Joe Biden gets the delegates. And the chances that they would say it's Joe Biden, it should be overwhelming, but, there are people who believe that Donald Trump has somehow been robbed. It is absolute insanity. The woman who is over the General Services Administration, which is the GSA, they do a lot of the moving of facilities, moving of buildings, getting things ready, doing protocol, not just for transition between administrations, but just when things have to be changed and moved in general. That's one of the things that the GSA does. And so they're also supposed to certify the national election that has taken place and the results, and have it be called for Joe Biden so that they can start to transition the Joe Biden team transitioning into the White House. And the person who is over this position, it is an appointed position, and so that person is not calling it. And so Joe Biden is not officially able to start with the things that he needs to do because she's not calling the election, and she's just saying, until everything is certified, I don't think that we should do it. And really, those are semantics for her to say, until it's certified, we won't do it. it is clear in all cases. Now, yes, we can let it go through the process and everybody turn Trump down and then he has to accept defeat. But the longer that they drag this out, the longer that people don't go ahead and accept reality, by the time they do, there's going to be so much misinformation out there that it's going to be hard for people to know what to believe. And so, or they will at least have a cause because it's been in the news. And so, if it's in the news, even if it's Newsmax or whatever, if it's in the news, then it must be somewhat relevant. And if we've been talking about it for 3 months, why would we be talking about something that isn't relevant? So, this is the thought process. So yeah, that's part of the plan. Is the more that we talk about this, the more that it feels legitimate, even though it's not legitimate. But as long as it's part of the conversation, then it gives it relevance and, in some people's mind, reality. So that's the problem with letting this continue to go on. I mean, some people are saying we should do it, we should allow, all this to play out, but this is all about his ego down to the very end, because these cases are getting thrown out consistently. So, and in some cases, there are instances where I will admit they have found, maybe 1,500 votes that weren't counted. That's what they found in Georgia. I believe it was 1,500. But like half, or 60% of those were for Joe Biden. So it still made no difference. And in the cases of this kind of stuff, usually you have statisticians and people who can really calculate, a margin of error to say, if it was within these many votes, we should most certainly recount everything again, because statistically there's a chance that the person could catch up or that something could be going on. But they have people that calculate those kinds of things. And as it's bearing out, where there are instances where, for whatever reason, something went funky. It doesn't even have to be fraud, that it was fraudulent. Things happen. We're dealing with people and machines. When they go back and they're looking at these things, the the change is not overwhelming. And the thing about the Trump supporters and Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani, who has just made a fool of himself again for another week, the thing about these people and what they're saying is, look, any instance of fraud is a problem. And it's like, you can't get rid of, somebody trying to do the wrong thing or somebody making a mistake. You can't get rid of that any more than you can make people actually care or make people stop being racist. You can't change people from doing things at times. But that does not mean that overwhelmingly that's what's going on. There are instances. That does not mean that it is an overall conspiracy. And the idea that somebody who barely, and who lost the popular vote, but who barely eked by Hillary Clinton, and a lot of people said, hey, we just want to give him a chance. We want to see something different. And then he showed his ass for the last 4 years. The idea that people couldn't say, I think I've had enough of that. And honestly, that talk started happening like within a year of his presidency. People were like, damn, we didn't think it was going to be like that. Or, now we got our tax reform, or now we got our Supreme Court justices, and we really don't want to have to deal with this person any longer. So there were plenty of people like that. And then there were people who, for whatever reason, were still attracted to Donald Trump and still, wanted him to run the country. So it's a mix, but the idea that it just could not happen, that people just could not change their mind, that, as much of the outcry has been for the last 4 years, that people just are doing that for no reason, it makes no sense. The fact is, a lot of people were fed up and tired of Donald Trump, and they came out and they voted, and his ass is fired. Like, that's it. Trying to come up with all this other stuff is like, well, all these people got to be coordinated, and you know, it's a lot. And it's almost, you can't make progress, because when you make progress, then if it doesn't go certain people's way, then they're like, well, that's not real. And something must have happened. So that's where we're at. People are still continuing to hold on to the idea that Donald Trump won this election. It is the 21st of November. The election was on the 3rd of November, so it's almost 3 weeks, and he's still fighting. And things are still getting thrown out of court, but it's not stopping people from believing in their mind that he really did win, and that people are really being unfair to him. People that he's There's this constant narrative of victimhood with Donald Trump. People are being unfair to him because they're like, this is really pointless. And because people are coming with that reality, it's unfair because we're not placating him and playing to his ego. And he has all these people in his base riled up because of his ego, and playing to that, and letting us and forcing us to continue to go on. And the fact that we're like, can't we just cut this shit out? Like, we know what the deal is. And even people who know what the deal is like, but what's the harm? The harm is Joe Biden and them can't get started. I think people should also see that the harm is some of these appointed positions. I don't know, it's dangerous. Like, this woman is an appointed person who's over the GSA, and she's not certifying the results, even though it's clear. We're really having to go through all of these court cases, which is what Donald Trump does. Win or lose, he just spends money going to court. And we're having to deal with it. And it's really beyond ridiculous at this point. It's ridiculous. So there are a few things. We need to look at these appointed positions. We're talking about appointed position, the ambassador to Ukraine, who was a part of this whole thing about holding up the money, and he went in and testified. I watched the testimony of everybody. And as I've said before, Donald Trump is guilty. Maybe it'll be years before we come up to it, but I watched it, and he's guilty. And this man who he appointed was basically telling, how it goes, how he was he was a part of, doing everything, but, he wasn't on the innermost circle, but he certainly had a role, and he was appointed. I think Donald Trump has shown a lot of flaws with the system that we love to hold up and praise and say this is the end all be all and we should never change and it should be absolutely what the founding fathers thought. But I think there's situations and people that they just really couldn't account for. And I don't know what needs to be changed. I'm not really sure. But I just feel like we have somebody who... And the thing is, I just want to say this, it's not just Donald Trump. Like I said, it's the lady at the GSA, it's Bill Barr, it's Betsy DeVos, it's a lot of people, it's Stephen Miller. And when you look at Nazi Germany, and when you look at it, it wasn't just Hitler. It was Hitler, and it was a lot of people who just had this hatred for the Jewish community. And it was them, right? It wasn't just Hitler doing this all on his own in a vacuum. He had all kind of people, doctors, generals. He had all kind of people who were backing up his mission. And that's what's scary. And that's why when Donald Trump gets arrested and goes to jail, these other people need to go to jail, because if they are able to just skirt with the things that they've done, and a lot of them are just dancing on the law, if not have crossed the law. I just think that we have to look at more than Donald Trump, because a lot of people have been complicit. And when things happen over history, it's not just one person. They've got followers. They've got true believers. They have intelligent, very smart, but twisted in the mind true believers who follow them. So just because somebody is really smart like Bill Barr doesn't mean that he's not twisted in the mind and would try to find a way for Donald Trump to become an autocrat. Because he'll be like, hey, you'll be my number one guy. You'll be my justice guy, or you'll be my whatever, my enforcer. Don't think that there's not people out there who would jump at that chance. And that's what is really frightening. Even if Donald Trump, when he goes away, will he truly go away? And there are a lot of people who enable and follow the doctrine that he has put out for the last 4 years. So, I hate to kind of end on that, but I am. I got this smoke behind me because it's just right now things are just kind of up in flight all over the place. And it's dangerous in my opinion. So we'll see what happens. So I'm signing off. Next week is Thanksgiving. You all spend time with your family, immediate family, like maybe in your household. Be safe. They're definitely recommending on not getting together with family for the holidays, which we all know sucks. But that's where we're at. We can thank our former president. We did get a vaccine that's coming through. He's taking credit. I don't know. Some people said that it was really a German thing, and but I did hear that he cut a lot of red tape and got it going. So I'm not really sure. Maybe it's just the red tape to get it to the American people, and we'll see what the result of that is. But you have your president to at least thank for the confusion that feels like it might be coming to an end. But we got to get through these holidays without our families, without seeing our families. But let's be grateful for those of us who still have family, because there's 250,000 people who have family members that they're not going to be able to get with this holiday season. So let's be grateful for what we do have, the people we can spend time with, the people that we can call. Grateful to live in this time of technology where we can still reach out to our families. And you all have a happy Thanksgiving, and I will see you Saturday after Thanksgiving with a live show. Okay, bye-bye. It's the Black White Liberal.